what to expect from a home inspection. The step that protects everything. But not really everything, but we try. Hi, I'm Kathy Sokolic, Principal Realtor with the Mueller Residential Group here in Austin. And today I want to talk about something that every buyer hears about, but a lot of people don't fully understand until they are in the middle of it. The home inspection. Whether you're buying a charming Miller townhome, a mid-century bungalow in East Austin, or a newer build somewhere in the greater Austin area, the home inspection is your single best opportunity to understand exactly what you're getting into before you sign those closing documents. And I'll tell you something I say to every single buyer I work with: never skip it. I don't care how new the home is, and I don't care how perfect it looks on the outside. I also don't care how competitive the market feels. You just cannot skip the home inspection. Because here's the truth. A home inspection isn't just a formality. It's your opportunity to know what you're buying. It's a snapshot of the health of the home at that time, and to negotiate from a position of clarity instead of guessing what's going on. If you're new to the buying process, the inspection phase can feel a little intimidating. What does the inspector actually look for? How long does it take? What do you do if the report comes back with a long list of items? I'm going to walk you through every step so you feel prepared and confident. Let's get to it. A key point here is that a home inspection isn't just a formality. It's your opportunity to know what you're buying and to negotiate from that position of clarity. So the option period, that is your window to act. So let's start at the beginning. You've made an offer and it's been accepted. You're executed and you're officially under contract. Now what? In Texas, once your offer is accepted, a countdown starts. It's called the option period, and it's one of the most important parts of the entire transaction. The option period is a negotiated window of time, usually between 5 and 10 days. We like to do 7 oftentimes, during which you have the unrestricted right to terminate the contract for any reason. Any reason at all. You pay a small option fee for that right, but it gives you enormous protection as a buyer in case you want to back out. And here's my strong advice. Schedule your inspection as early in that window as possible. Why? Because you need time. Time to receive the report, time to review it carefully, time to order any follow-up specialized inspections if the general inspector flags something that may need a deeper look. And you also need time to negotiate with the seller before your option period expires. That's our window to change anything in the contract. I have seen buyers wait too long and then find themselves scrambling to make decisions under pressure at the very end of their window. That is not the situation you want to be in when you're evaluating a significant financial decision. When you're choosing an inspector, look for someone who is licensed through the Texas Real Estate Commission. They carry errors and emissions insurance, and they have strong reviews from local buyers. I have a list of inspectors I refer to my clients regularly. They're ones I trust. It's one of those things I genuinely find valuable about working with a local agent who knows the market. So our key point here is to schedule your inspection as early in the option period as possible. You need that time to review the findings, order follow-up inspections if needed, get more questions answered, and negotiate any repairs or changes to the contract before that window closes. What the inspection actually looks at. Okay, so what does a licensed home inspector actually do at the home? A Texas home inspector follows the TREC standards of practice, which defines exactly what must be inspected and reported to the consumer. This is not a casual walkthrough. It's a systematic, top-to-bottom evaluation of the home's major systems and their components. Let me walk you through the main areas, because understanding what's being evaluated helps you make the most sense of the report when you receive it. different sections of the home. So structural components. The inspector starts with the bones of the house: foundation, framing, floors, walls, roof structure. In Austin, where we sit on expansive clay soils, foundation checks are particularly important. Clay soil expands and contracts with moisture, and that movement can stress a foundation over time. So your inspector will note any visible cracks, settling, or signs of movement. And if needed, you can get another opinion of a foundation person. The roofing system. An inspector evaluates the roof covering, the gutters, the downspouts, drainage, anything that penetrates the roof, vents, chimneys, skylights. They will walk the roof when it's safely accessible, or use binoculars or drones when they can't get up there physically. They're looking at the condition of the home and the remaining lifespan of those materials, the flashing, the soffits, and the fascia, and how well the system is draining overall. The electrical systems. The inspector checks the main electrical panel, wiring, outlets, switches, GFCI protection, and those ground faults, circuit interrupter outlets you find near sinks and in garages. Older Austin homes sometimes have outdated wiring configurations that are worth understanding before you buy. This section of the report is one I always make sure buyers pay close attention to. And I want to note that it doesn't always need to be immediately addressed, but something maybe in the future. Plumbing systems cover the supply lines, drain lines, water heater fixtures, water pressure, and visible pipes throughout the home. I almost always recommend a separate sewer scope for my buyers, which is a camera inspection of the underground drain line, even on newer homes. Tree roots, ground shifting, and construction debris can cause issues that a standard inspection may not catch because the inspector can't see underneath the home in those drain lines. The HVAC system, y'all, the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. In Texas, you know your air conditioner is getting a real workout, and it is essential infrastructure. The inspector tests the system, checks the filter and ductwork, and notes any apparent age or serviceability concerns. HVAC units have a typical lifespan of 15 to 20 years. Knowing where your system falls on that range is valuable budgeting information for the future. Insulation, ventilation, and the attic. The inspector looks at attic insulation depth and type, ventilation, and vapor barriers where it's applicable. In Austin's climate, proper attic ventilation is a real factor in both energy efficiency and the lifespan of your roofing materials. Doors, windows, and the interior. The inspector's going to test all the doors, all the window operations. They're going to check for proper sealing and looks for signs of water intrusion around the windows and exterior walls. Visible moisture, mold, or pest damage inside the home is flagged here as well. Exterior grading is going to be looked at as well. The siding, trim, driveways, walkways, decks, and fencing. One thing that surprises buyers is the attention paid to grading, meaning the slope of the yard. The ground should always slope away from the foundation to direct water outward, not toward the house. Improper grading is surprisingly common contributor to foundation and moisture issues. If a seller is leaving appliances, well, the dishwasher range, built-in microwave, things like that are always staying, the inspector tests the basic function. It's not a deep dive evaluation, but enough to flag anything obviously not working. It's important to know. So key point here is your inspector's job isn't to scare you away from the home. It's to give you a clear, honest picture of its condition so you can make an informed decision. So should you be there in person? People ask me this all the time. Do I really need to be at the inspection? My answer is always yes. Please be there if you can be. There is a walkthrough at the end with the inspector, and you should really be there. Here's what I tell my buyers. Don't show up at the very beginning and hover over the inspector for 4 hours. They need space to do their job without someone looking over their shoulder the whole time. But plan to arrive at the end when the inspector walks you through their findings. And they'll do it in person and they'll show you different things that they've found. That walkthrough is one of the most valuable experiences in the home buying process. you see firsthand what the issues look like. You understand their severity, and you can ask questions on the spot. And if you leave with a much deeper understanding of the home you're purchasing. And the inspector's always there to answer questions in the future. A typical inspection runs 2 to 4 hours, depending on the size and age of the home. Plan to be there for the last little bit, maybe like the last hour. Another thing, sellers are typically not present during the inspection. That time is yours. You need to use it and take the time with the inspector. So the key point here is to plan to attend the walkthrough at the end of the inspection. Seeing the issues firsthand and directly makes the report far less intimidating when you read it later. Making sense of the report. After the inspection, what is this hair, y'all? After the inspection, you'll receive a detailed written report, usually within 24 hours. This document's going to have photos, descriptions, recommendations for every item the inspector flagged. A typical report can run anywhere from 30 to 80 plus pages. Don't panic at the page count. I promise. Some inspectors just put a lot of pictures in there. Here's how I coach every one of my buyers to read it. First, look at the safety hazards. These are items that pose an immediate risk, like missing GFCI outlets near water, faulty electrical panels, gas leaks, carbon monoxide concerns. These get addressed immediately. These are safety issues, usually marked red in the inspection report. Then look at the major systems, the roof, HVAC, foundation, plumbing, and electrical. These are the big ticket items. If they're flagged, we want to understand the cost and severity before we decide how to respond or ask for something from the seller. Third, there's kind of deferred maintenance on a lot of properties. Smaller items that haven't been kept up. Dripping faucets, worn caulk around the tub, missing weather stripping. Important to know about, but it's not really a big deal. Honestly, these items are good introduction to what home ownership really looks like and things you're going to have to do on your own later. And finally, informational notes. Items that are older or approaching the end of their typical lifespan. Not failures yet, but worth budgeting for. Your water heater that's 12 years old, for example, it works fine today, but you want to be thinking about that replacement in the next few years and budgeting for it. The thing I want every buyer to hear clearly, no home is ever going to be perfect. Every home, even new construction, will have items in the inspection report. The question is never whether items exist. It's whether they're manageable and whether they are manageable for you specifically. So the key point here is every home has inspection items. The question isn't whether items exist, it's whether they are manageable. Focus on safety issues and major concerns first. Deferred maintenance items are normal, and you can take care of those after you own the home. So when do you need specialized inspections? The general home inspection is your foundation, but depending on what the inspector finds or what the property warrants, there are a number of specialized follow-up inspections worth knowing about. In the Austin market specifically, here are the ones I generally recommend most often. A sewer scope, y'all, this is a big deal. This is a camera inspection of the underground drain lines that go out to the city. I recommend this almost all the time with every home we work with, especially anything over 20 years old and really 10 to 15. Tree roots, ground settlement, and old pipe materials can cause significant issues that are completely invisible to a standard inspection, but the sewer scope makes them visible to us. A foundation evaluation. If the home inspector flags any foundation concerns, a licensed structural engineer can come provide more detailed assessment and measurements. He'll tell you what's actually going on and if repairs are needed, give you a cost estimate to work with, which is really important. There could be mold if the inspector sees evidence of moisture intrusion or visible mold. A certified mold assessor can test the air quality and identify the scope of the issue. In Austin's humidity, moisture management in a home actually matters. But don't freak out, mold is everywhere. Pest and wood destroying insects This checks for termites, carpenter ants, and other pest damage. In Central Texas, I generally recommend this for homes over 5 years old. Termite damage can be significant and is worth knowing about before closing. And pool and spa inspections. If the property has a pool, a dedicated pool inspector will evaluate the equipment, structure, and safety systems. A general inspector will note the pool, but they won't go deep on the mechanical systems. Separate. What about that chimney? If a home has a working fireplace, you might want to have a chimney sweep come and assess the condition and safety. In older Austin homes specifically, this one sometimes gets overlooked and it shouldn't be. So a key point, the general inspection is kind of your starting point, your foundation. Follow up specialized inspections, sewer scope, foundation, mold, give you a complete picture when specific concerns are flagged by that general inspector. So negotiating after the inspection report, what does that look like? Once you have the full report and any follow-up inspections, we can sit down together and work through the findings. And this is where having an experienced local agent genuinely matters. My job here is to help you figure out 3 things: what's worth negotiating, what to budget for and accept for the future, and in rare situations, whether something is significant enough to walk away from. Every buyer is different, every home is different. Context matters enormously with this. A flagged item in a home priced to reflect its condition is a very different conversation than the same item in a home priced at a premium. During the option period, you have 3 main paths forward when there are items you want to address. Repair requests. You ask the seller to fix specific items before closing. I generally recommend keeping these focused only on safety issues or major systems. The more targeted, the better. Or instead of asking the seller to handle the repairs, which can vary depending on who they use as a contractor, and there could be a miscommunication, just request a $1 credit at closing and manage those repairs yourself after you move in. It's a cleaner approach and it gives you more control over who does the work. Or sometimes in some cases, a price reduction in the purchase price of the home is more practical than a credit, particularly if the repair cost is substantial. Sellers are not obligated to agree to anything. They can accept, counter, or decline. If they decline and you can't reach an agreement, you can terminate the contract within your option period and receive your earnest money back. You will not get your option fee back. That's what we paid for the right to terminate, and you exercise that right. If you continue with the contract that goes toward your cash to close. I help my buyers navigate these conversations carefully because emotions can run high, and the goal is always to make a clear-headed decision that serves your long-term interests. So our key point here is that inspection negotiations have 3 tools: repair requests, seller credits, or price reductions. A targeted strategic approach gets better results than a long list of small requests. Trust me. So what happens after negotiations wrap up? Once the inspection negotiation is resolved, whether you received concessions, accepted the home, or landed somewhere in the middle, the transaction just moves forward. If you're financing the purchase, your lender orders an appraisal next to confirm the home's value supports the loan amount. That's a whole separate conversation. I actually have another video dedicated entirely to how appraisals work in Austin. So check that out if you want to go on a deep dive in that topic. If the seller agreed to make repairs, you want written documentation and receipts. In some cases, a reinspection of just the repaired items is worth ordering to confirm that the work was completed properly, but that's up to you. Then typically 24 to 48 hours before closing, you do your final walkthrough. This is your chance just to confirm the home is in the agreed to condition, all negotiated repairs have been completed, and nothing unexpected has changed since you were last inside the home. And then you close. You sign paperwork, the funds transfer, and you get your keys. So our key point here is after the inspection negotiations, confirm all agreed repairs in writing. Complete your final walkthrough like 24 to 48 hours prior to closing to verify everything is in order. So now we get to closing. Knowledge is your protection. Let me pull all of this together. Buying a home is one of the most significant financial decisions most people ever make. The inspection is not a speed bump on the way to closing. It is the moment in the process where you get to look inside the hood and understand exactly what you're buying. A thorough inspection combined with a skilled agent who can help you interpret what you're looking at and navigate the conversation with the seller is genuinely one of the best investments you can make before you close. I have watched buyers skip inspections to win competitive offers, and I have watched some of those buyers face costly surprises 6 months later. And that's not really a situation I want for anyone I work with. Know what you're buying. Ask your questions. Get the follow-up inspections when they're warranted, and work through the findings with someone who can help you put them into context. If you're getting ready to buy a home in Miller, East Austin, Central Austin, or really anywhere in the greater Austin area, and you want a real conversation about what the process actually looks like right now, that's exactly what I'm here for. I love having these conversations. Reach out. I would really love to help you go into this process prepared.